श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमामि विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Hare Krishna.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You all don't want to turn your cameras on? Impersonalist. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. So, we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute. Let's pay our obeisances to Shri Radha Govinda before we start. And this is the summary. We discussed till verse 25, I think, last time. In this chapter so far, we have discussed how we can know Krishna about hearing, by hearing about him. And then how Krishna is the source of both material and spiritual energies. And then how Krishna controls the three modes, very famous verse of 14, verse 14 of every chapter. Krishna, sorry. And then 4 kind of people who surrender to Krishna, or 4 kind of people who do not come to Krishna. And then Krishna adds on that others who have no knowledge, who also don't come to Krishna, are one who surrender to demigods, and then who are impersonalists. Now the last portion is from delusion to devotion to Krishna, verse number 26 to 30. So we start from that section. I think it'll be a short class. Knowing Krishna as the source of both material and spiritual energies. Krishna says in verse 26, O Arjun, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. So we studied that there are 2 kind of people. There are 4 kind of people who never come to Krishna. And then there are 2 more additional kind of devotees people who don't come to Krishna because they lack knowledge, and they are the one who then they go to demigod or they become a impersonalist. So Krishna is saying that he's aware of it. It's not that it's a shocker, or it's a new thing. Though Krishna is very well aware of it. This is a very nice verse. Samitha, what is the verse? Samit, let me open the verse. Bhavishyami Veda aham samittani vartamani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kashchana. Veda aham samittani. Veda means knowledge. Aham means I. Samitittani. Samitittani means what happened in the past. Vartamani. Vartaman means present tense, right? Cha Arjuna. And I know what happened in the past. I also know what's happening in the present. Bhavishyami cha bhutani. And what is yet to come, I also know that as well. Mam tu veda na kaschana. But me, no one knows. So knowing Krishna, this is the second time in this chapter that Krishna has said that it is very difficult to know him. Do you remember what was the verse? I think it's in your Veda, it's in your shloka recitation too, where Krishna said first that it's difficult to know him. Do you remember? Where did he say first in this chapter? Bahunam.
Bahunam Janmanamantim. Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha.
What does it mean?
Like after many births, Bahunam Janmanam, I think only the one in knowledge realized Krishna, and that Krishna, like Vasudevam Sarvamiti, like Krishna is the Lord of all the worlds, and such kind of a soul is very, very rare, Mataji.
Okay, almost there. Thank you. So Bahunam Janmanam Ante, at the end of many births and many deaths. Gyanvan Mam Prapadyante, one who is situated in transcendental knowledge surrenders unto me. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, thinking me as all in all. Vasudeva is all in all, source of all material and spiritual energies. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, such a Mahatma or such a great soul. Sudurlabha. Durlabha means rare. Sudurlabha means very rare. And in here, Krishna is saying, no one knows me. You know, he's kind of like, we suffer, the most common disease in the whole world is loneliness, right? As the, what is this? The science is advancing, the lives are becoming more comfortable. The daily chores are not that hectic, but people are becoming far, far distant from each other. How come? You know, if somebody is having a comfortable life, they should be able to make connection with people. But do we see that? Do we see that around us? Do we see that?
No, Mataji.
Yeah, only one person is paying attention. Okay, thank you. So we don't see that. Why? Because as the science is advancing, the objects of sense gratification are coming into vision more and more. So the mind, which is already uncontrolled, is becoming more and more uncontrolled. Why? Because we are not training at the same time. There is no problem in advancing. You see, we are not advancing. If Prabhupada explains demigods, Siddha Loka, residents of Siddha Loka can go from one place to another place just by thinking. Siddhis, they don't need to book an airplane or get a visa or have a passport or, you know, struggle and fly from this plane to this place to this place or do all these things. No, they just think, and by the siddhi of the mind, they are able to go from one place to another place. So they are far more advanced. What is happening is that as we are going away from the principles of varnashram dharma, the material energy is producing more and more objects of sense gratification. And then we get succumbed to it because we don't have a training. We don't know. And then we get more and more into the bed of darkness. Right? Prabhupada was asked, there's a conversation of Prabhupada. I read that Prabhupada, is it true that by the invention of the modern gadgets, is like what is the question? By the invention of the modern gadgets, we are really not advancing. So because we say no, that okay, if somebody has this particular device with this much memory, right? It's very famous, like, or you have this computer with this much storage, or this phone with this much storage capacity, or this kind of a car that you're driving which has a AI, you know, like there are cars which drive by own, right? Like Tesla or BMW, they drive on their own. So you just have to like sit. So they're advancing, but according to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, yes, it is true that actually it is cheating by Maya. How do we say that? Acharya is saying there's a cheating by Maya, but we are very busy in actually accumulating these things and actually feel a sense of pride of having all these things. Right? We go to a house and then they have an Apple TV. They're like, we have an Apple TV. But according to Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm sorry, but you have actually just lost your human life ability. So I'm so sorry that this TV is not serving a purpose. But how do you explain that? Huh? Tell me. Because Krishna says in verse 3 of this chapter, verse 2, phenomenal and noumenal knowledge, right? He says that if you, Prabhupada writes in the purport, if you know the source, if one knows the source of material and spiritual energy, then everything becomes known. Right? If we know the source, we know everything. So how is it that we are advancing, but we are actually not advancing? How do you connect that dot? And how is it like we are actually not going to Krishna? These things were invented to make us go to Krishna, but we are not. Yes.
Yeah, we are advancing in terms of technology, Mataji, but in terms of evolving with consciousness or awareness, or in terms of remembering things, we are actually degrading ourselves. So our memory becomes very short, and we are not aware of everything which is surrounded by us. we are not that subtle to understand things. So we are actually degrading as a
Very
human.
nice.
But yeah,
So do we have a choice of not to be degrading? Do we have a choice? Or we have to follow the norm?
Yes,
we have choice, Mataji. We can evolve with the kind of association we are in. So by taking good association and by cultivating our consciousness and our brain, by training our brain, we can evolve. But actually, this Kali Yuga also taking us to degrade. So that is inevitable, but we can try to upgrade
Okay.
ourselves.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, thank you very much. Very nice answer. You see, Seva said that, okay, we call this like external hard drive or memory drive. Yeah, we call this, right? Memory drive or external hard drive or internal hard drive, whatever it is. I don't know. So that means that our memory is reducing. It's projected in first canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Manda sumanda matyo, manda bhagyo paditaha. The memory is reducing, so we have to take help of external gadgets to be able to remember. I see people setting alarms for everything and work. Okay, the alarm to drink water. It's say hydration, keep hydrated. They set an alarm on their watch or phone or something. Or an alarm for this or alarm for that, or people don't even know their own phone numbers sometimes. So why? Because we are getting succumbed. Where is this energy going? We are not happy. Happiness is the function of what? Happiness is a function of what? This question you must be able to answer. Happiness is a function of?
mind.
Okay, one person is saying mind. Okay. Happiness is a function of?
Satisfaction.
Function of what? Where is happiness coming from? Discrimination is the function of what?
Intelligence.
Intelligent.
Okay. Thinking, feeling, and willing is the function of what?
Consciousness.
Don't get
That is
confused.
sense.
Hmm?
Sensual thing. To sense.
Thinking, feeling, and so okay. So we have a gross body and we have a subtle body. So thinking, feeling, and willing is a function of the mind. The function of intelligence, we have mind intelligence, right? Intelligence is the function of intelligence is discrimination, to be able to discriminate between what is conducive and not is not conducive for Krishna consciousness. And then happiness is the function of the soul. Satchit Ananda, right? Vigraha. So Satchit Ananda, that person is Ananda, happiness is a function of the soul. But because we are deluded, which we'll study in the next verse, then we are actually misplacing that function of soul into something else. We make it happiness as a function of mind or function of intelligence or function of sense objects. My happiness is dependent on this particular person or this particular situation or this particular object. We make it dependent, but actually it is not. It's happiness is a function of the soul. Don't think that they are happy, because according to the Shastras, we look through Shastras. We don't look through our experience, right? In deductive knowledge, ascending knowledge, and descending knowledge, we are receiving a descending knowledge. It's given to us. So if you're looking through Shastra Chakshusha or the eyes of the Shastras, we can say that no one is happy, unless and until one comes to the realization of Krishna consciousness. There is no happiness. It may taste like happiness, look like happiness, but there is no happiness. And that the understanding of that concept will depend on an individual faith, how much faith has one developed in their practice of Krishna consciousness. Not everyone is at the same level. Okay, but if somebody has developed a firm faith in Krishna consciousness, then they can say, okay, my happiness is not dependent on having this much money or this much assets or this much. I'm not saying don't have it, but don't make your happiness dependent on it. Okay, if it's taken away, it will be taken away anyway by the time factor. Then I become morose, because ultimate thing is this: what Krishna says in 27th verse, to come out of the duality. So, O sign of Bharat, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. So all, he's generalizing. He's not saying that some are born, some are not born. All living entities are born into delusion. I'll show the chart later. Bewildered by dualities arise from desire and hate. So we ichha dvesha samuthena, right? We desire something and we hate something. And we desire something or hate something, that makes us, that is the beginning of getting cut from the reality of our existence. How many times a day are we telling ourselves, I'm not the body, I'm the soul? How many times a day do we remind ourselves, I'm not the body, I'm the soul? Do you?
No, Mataji.
No, Mataji.
Thanks.
It's very hard.
I mean, how many times a day are we reminding ourselves that I'm the body?
Most of the
Um,
times.
Almost all the time, Mataji. We relate ourselves, we connect ourselves with our bodies.
Right, gross body or subtle body, right? They're either we are connecting constantly. Okay, now I'm hungry. Okay, now I'm thirsty. Okay, now I have to talk. Okay, now I have to walk. Okay, now I have to see. Do this. I have to work. I have to. So there's so many things, but we are constantly reminding ourselves that I am this body, gross or subtle. We are hardly reminding ourselves I'm not the body. So this is delusion, duality, the beginning. Okay, so a Krishna conscious person can see this. A non-Krishna conscious person has no vision. That is why their life is very unhappy life. It may appear that there is happiness. Prabhupada once was in New York and he looked at the big, tall buildings in New York. Okay. And he said, people think this is advancement. You know, we are able to construct 100 and some floor. The Empire, the Twin Towers, I think there were 100 and some floor buildings. So they think that, oh my God, this is like amazing. This country is so advanced because it has built so tall buildings. But Prabhupada said that, Prabhupada said to me, it feels like a jail. When I go, it feels like a jail. So very interesting concept that we are thinking that we are advancing, but a Tattvadarshi Acharya is saying that it feels like a jail. So we're basically increasing our complexities of life, and we are supposed to simplify our life and save time. So Krishna says about 4 kind of people who come to him, and now he talks about.
Mataji, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
So how to remind ourselves that we are not this body, we are this soul. We mostly identify with our body, so how to live? We are not
How
this
do we
soul.
do? Did you see that verse number 30? Krishna explains that by good association. By good association, we are. How are we reminding ourselves I'm the body? Because we are associating with environment and people and things around us, which are reminding ourselves constantly. But good association and also very good firm practice. If only one thing we can do in our practice sincerely, that is enough. Just one thing. We can chant nicely. Enough. Okay, you can't read. It will come. You see, chanting is a power box. It's a code book. You know, code like when you enter a code and then the whole dimension of another world opens up. Like that. Chanting is like a code. It's a coded language. Chant nicely. Chant your rounds without distraction. It's not that, okay, I'm doing 10 other things, checking my phone, cooking or walking. Yeah, walking and looking around. Then it's not really connecting to oneself. Okay. It's not difficult. Knowing oneself as soul is not difficult because that's natural to us. Reminding ourselves I'm the body takes effort. You know, it takes effort. Now I have to get up and cook. Now I have to get up and go talk. Now I have to go. What does one has to do to become soul conscious? Chant Hare Krishna. What does one have to do to become body conscious? So many things. This is, I'm not saying this. Prahlad Maharaj says this in 7th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so Krishna talks about people who, 4 kind of people who surrender to him, and then he adds on to the list by telling us 3 more kind of people who come to him. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, who are freed from delusions, dualities of delusion, and engage themselves. They engage themselves in my service with determination. So I'll just show the verse number 27 was delusion, right? Desire and hatred cause them to be bewildered by the dualities. How living entities are covered by Maya, desiring to enjoy separate from Krishna, are put into delusion or Maya. Separate from pure knowledge, that's covered by illusory energy. Effects of or manifestation of illusory energy, there is this duality of desire and hate, good or bad, man or woman. All these dualities, pleasure or pain, like hot or cold. Krishna talks about so many dualities in Bhagavad Gita. They all become manifest. We see there are examples of the devotees who are not in duality, who are free. Right? We have Prahlad Maharaj, the free. Or we have even Dhruva Maharaj when he was doing his tapasya, how he cut down his eating and how he cut down his bodily necessities in just a span of 6 months. We have Raghunath Das Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have so many devotees. We have the 6 Goswamis. All 6 of them are showing that we can become free from the dualities. But it is not a sudden thing and it is not a fanaticism. It's a process. One has to follow the process. If somebody says, I'm not finding satisfaction in my practice of Krishna consciousness, immediately you have to go and see, are you following the protocol? Are you getting up early? Are you attending Mangalarti? Are you chanting your rounds? Are you reading Prabhupada books? Are you associating with the devotees? Are you reading? Are you preaching? Are you doing something for Prabhupada movement? So if there is a break, if anybody is following the process, the success is guaranteed. Why we don't become successful? Because we're not following the process. There's no problem with the process. The problem is with us. Okay, so manifestation of illusory energy, then symptoms of such delusion manifest. You want to become one with Lord, or become envious of Krishna, or think Krishna as a product of material energy, or these manifestations of dualities come in our life. So what do we do? How do we become free? Krishna consciousness doesn't only tell about the problem, it tells about the solution. Recognize Krishna's supremacy and become a devotee. Our situation individually and collectively is most secure with Krishna. Is most secure. Krishna can take care. You know, in morning Bhagavatam class, we are reading demons that Krishna killed, and then we're discussing the anartha that each demon represents. The more I read, the more I become convinced that my situation is most secure under the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's nowhere else will you find that sense of security. How many of us want to have a secure life, stable life? How many of you want to have? Okay, the people in camera raising hands, okay. People not in camera, unmute or say something. You know, my old Bhakti Shastri group, we're still very connected. This group, I've never been able to connect. Very professional. English speaking world is very professional. Hindi speaking world is very personal. Guys, how many of you want a very secure, or you would like to live in a war zone?
We want a secure life, Mataji.
Right. So, but then we make arrangements for this security, but it doesn't stay long. Something or the other changes. If nothing changes externally, the body starts deteriorating. The body falls sick or growing old. Like something or the other keeps changing, but we don't like it. And we don't like it, but we are forced by the nature to get through it. So go to Krishna because over there it's most secure. Krishna can kill all the demons or anarthas. Okay, now verse 28 says that there are 3 more kind of people who come to Krishna on top of the 4 that he described earlier. Qualification required to perform determined devotional service, acted piously in this life and previous life, and ceasing to act according to desire and hate, or which are duality, which is freedom from duality of delusion. Sinful activities are completely eradicated. they can perform determined devotional service. So if you come across a person who is performing determined devotional service, not just devotional service, sadhrita, determined devotional service, understand that they have already gone through this cycle because Krishna has given the background. Okay, like acted piously in this life and previous life, not acting according to dualities and delusion. Sinful activities are completely eradicated. That person can perform determined devotional service. But then we also see, now I'm going to raise this controversy, but I'm not going to answer this question. Okay, this is interesting. We also say that Krishna consciousness is ahetuki apratihata. It is not dependent on anything and it cannot be checked by anything. But here it sounds like that Krishna is saying that to be able to perform a determined devotional service, one is to fulfill this criteria. So how do you bridge the gap? On one side, we say that Krishna consciousness is not dependent on anything and is not checked by anything. But on the other hand, Krishna himself is saying that these are the kind of devotees who can perform determined devotional service. How do you bridge the gap? I'll give you a hint. It's a very big topic in itself. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Prabhupada gave us a literature called Madhurya Kadambini. And Madhurya Kadambini, the zest of that book is bridging this gap. When on one side we say that it is dependent, and on another side we say it is completely independent. Okay, so for whom is it difficult to transcend the dualities of desire and hate? Those who are sinful, atheistic, foolish, and deceitful, impersonalist, lacking the knowledge, and forget one's position and subordinate to Lord. That is greatest violation of God's law. How do you be situated in spiritual platform? We have to practice the regulated principles. Okay, and when we are practicing, you see, pious life is a byproduct of Krishna conscious life. It's not the main thing. Pious person is more amiable and more open to accept the principles of Krishna consciousness, yes. Or if somebody who was acting impious before and now has taken to Krishna consciousness becomes pious, like we have example of this Mrigari, the hunter that Narad Muni made a devotee. Everyone knows the story, Mrigari hunter. Everyone knows the story of Mrigari, or no, somebody doesn't know. You don't know, Sudarshan Rao Prabhu?
No, Mataji.
Okay, so there was this hunter, Hare Krishna and Mia Mataji. There's this who would kill the animals half killed, who would leave the animals half killed. So the animals will be crying in pain, bleeding to death, and he would like it. So when Narad Muni was passing by, he saw this heinous scene and he went to the hunter and he said, the hunter paid obeisances to Narad Muni because he knows the etiquette. And then he says, okay, I'm very busy because this is my work hour. But my dear saintly person, why are you crossing paths? Do you want me to give you something? Do you want me to give you a deer skin or something? So Narad Muni says, yes, you can give me something. Tell me, why are you killing the animals half killed? This is very sinful. You know, killing animal is sinful, but killing them half killed is even more sinful. So he becomes surprised and says that, oh, I didn't know. You know, this is how my father trained me to hunt. That's why I'm hunting. And in this manner, the way I'm hunting. Narad Muni tells him that, okay, I want you to stop hunting. He said, okay, I'll stop hunting. If you provide for my family, I'll stop. You know, who wants to do any work if you provide? Narad Muni says, okay, don't worry about it. I'll provide for your family. Just go and live near this particular holy river with your wife and plant a tulsi plant and chant Hare Krishna. Everything will come to you. So Narad Muni did what he said, and then the news spread in the villages that the hunter has become a saintly person. So then what happens in India? People are pious. No, somebody is saintly, they come and give donation. They at least give palm full of grain, right? This much everyone can give. So everybody started coming to his house and started giving him this grains and fruits and milk and milk products, because he is now chanting the holy name of Krishna. And his wife said, my goodness, Narad Muni is sending us so much. We don't need so much. So he said, okay, now cook and offer to Krishna and distribute. And one day, Narad Muni was passing by with his friend. I forgot the name of the friend. Either it was Angida Rishi? I don't remember. So anyway, they were passing, and then Narad Muni said, let me pay a visit to my disciple. So when Narad Muni came to see the same Brigari got up from his place of sitting, and then he wanted to come and pay obeisances to his spiritual master. But when he was walking, he was hopping. He was missing a step, he was hopping. And then he took his chadar and then he cleaned the floor before he paid obeisances to his spiritual master Narad Muni. Narad Muni said, like, why were you hopping when you were coming to me? Why were you like hopping, and then why did you clean the floor with your chadar before you paid obeisances? He said, oh, because when I was coming, I saw so many ants and I was just watching that I should not step on them. And when I was going to pay obeisances, they were ants. So I just wanted to get them out of the way so they don't get hurt by the weight of my body when I pay obeisances. The same hunter who was leaving the animals half killed doesn't even want to hurt an ant now. So becoming a pious person is a byproduct of Krishna consciousness. It's not the main thing. Okay, so next step is gradually they can meditate in trance on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the best process is directly go to Krishna. We can all directly go. We don't need to go through the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or Sankhya Yoga. We can directly go to Bhakti. So then Krishna goes on to say, Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashrita Yatantiye Te Brahma Tad Vidhu Kritsam Adhyatmam Karma Cha Akhilam. Now he describes, so the fourth type of person who comes to him, that intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They're actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. So the intelligent person who actually wants to get out of the material existence and wants to be established in transcendental situation is referred to as Brahman. So he's introducing these words, Brahman. And then Adhyatma, Karma. So Adhyatma is another word which is introduced in this. The self, which is the self or the soul. And then Karma, which are the activities. So these are the words Brahma, Adhyatma, Karma, which Arjun will subsequently ask in 8th chapter beginning, what does this word mean? So it's coming, okay, there are people who are very intelligent, who take refuge in my devotional service because they know, entirely know everything about transcendental activities. And it says, Cha Adi Bhuta Adi Devam Mam Sa Adi Yagnam Chaye Viduhu Prayana Kale Apicha Mam Te Vidur Yukta Chetasaha. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of material manifestation of the demigods and of all methods of sacrifice, can understand me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Prabhupada writes that this is the benefit of becoming a devotee of Krishna, that we can even remember Krishna at the time of death. He is introducing more words here. Cha Adi Bhuta. Adi Bhuta is the Lord of the material manifestation. Adi Deva. Adi Deva means Lord of the all devatas or demigods. Adi Yagna. Adi Yagna means the benefactor of all the sacrifices. And Prayana Kale. Prayana Kale means even at the time of death, when we are leaving the pran are leaving the body. Kale means time. Prayan is like coming from the word pranayam, which when we are actually leaving the breath. The body is, soul is leaving the body. So Arjun is hearing with rapt attention, so he's going to ask, the next chapter will start from these, that what does, you said these words, what does it mean? And what is the process of knowing you at the time of death? Okay, so devotees can know Krishna at the time of death also and go back to him. So how to become Krishna conscious? This was the question. Prabhupada answers in the 30th verse, purport, by associating with devotees. How can we become Krishna conscious? Association. We cannot become Krishna conscious in seclusion. Surety of person acting in Krishna consciousness, a person who is acting in Krishna consciousness is not deviated from the path of entirely understanding Krishna. Understand Krishna in transcendental association, understand Lord as governing principle of material and manifestation and even demigods. So, governing principle of material manifestation, which is Adi Bhuta, governing principle of demigods, Adi Deva, governing principle of all methods of sacrifice, Adi Yagya. The person gradually becomes convinced of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, gradually. Okay, we might still have doubts in the beginning, but gradually we become convinced. At the time of death, he can never forget Krishna and promote it to Golok Vrindavan. I have seen devotees who have actually forgotten everything, but they remember Krishna at the time of death. I had the fortune of seeing such devotees leaving the body. I'm very surprised. They have encephalopathy. Encephalopathy means they cannot like remember anything. The mind just becomes very foggy and boggled, but they remember Krishna. You give them the garden of Krishna, you give them Charanamrita, they remember, you can see it. So it's correct. Dridhavrataha, determined faith, beginning of bhakti, is conviction that simply by hearing and glorifying the Supreme Lord, all objectives will be fulfilled. Our life is multi-dimensional because we are not situated in Dridhavrataha. Once we get established in Dridhavrataha, we consolidate. Everything comes to the center. Now everything is flooded because there are no boundaries. I don't know where it begins. Krishna consciousness brings about a stability, comes happiness. But that's not the ultimate goal. The happiness is not the ultimate goal. Ultimate goal is to please Krishna. Okay, that's the ultimate goal of bhakti. Which might mean that sometimes the devotee is not happy. Now we have an example, outward, external example of like we can say Arjun is fighting a war. He really doesn't want to kill his crew. He doesn't want to kill his family members, his grandfather, but he's doing it because Krishna wants it. So if it is for his personal happiness, he doesn't want to do it. Right? Or Mother Yashoda, that's a different pastime though. She's running behind Krishna with a stick. Yeah, when a mother hits a child, is she very happy? Is she like, okay, I'm gonna hit my child today. I'm gonna just take a stick and just hit my son or daughter. Yeah. Or a father hits the children or gets mad at children or gets angry. They're very happy. It's a very happy thing.
No, Mataji.
No,
No.
Mataji.
It's out of anger, no? It's out of like breach of some order or some boundary that this is done. But externally we can say that the ultimate goal of bhakti is to please Krishna. We might get happiness, we might not get happiness, but we always get happiness. Okay, so this concludes this chapter. So we studied about knowing Krishna in full by hearing about him. This is a very good chapter. Knowing Krishna as a source of both material and spiritual energies and the three modes, right? Mayam, Etam, Tadantite, that verse 14, which is very famous. And the impious who lack knowledge never surrender to Krishna. The pious develop knowledge and surrender. And then others who have no knowledge, who surrender to demigods who are impersonalists. And then today we discussed that Krishna is saying that he knows what happened in the past, he knows what is happening in the present, and he knows what is yet to come. But to him, no one knows. So we discuss a little what makes us not know Krishna because of the delusion and duality. What makes us being covered by delusion and duality? Because of the desire to be away from Krishna. The pure knowledge gets covered. So then we discuss, is material life simple or spiritual life simple, which is simpler. So I hope everyone comes to the conclusion that spiritual life is simpler because we save time and we can actually utilize the time to something which is real and permanent. Then Krishna says that everyone, all living entities are born into delusion. So that way we are all same, no difference. Like, okay, somebody is born in a rich family or a poor family or this country or that country or this body, that body, doesn't matter because according to Krishna, everyone is born in duality. So everyone has to start. And then he says that people who has acted piously in the past, who have acted, who have no, who are not doing any more sinful activities, sinful reactions are completely eradicated, and who are out of the dualities of and delusions, can worship Krishna with the determined devotional service. It doesn't say pure devotional service, it says determined devotional service. Okay, determination is needed to do the devotional service. It's not that, okay, this is one of the chores. No, this is, I'm going to do it. I'm going to walk this path. Then he says about the Adi, what is the Adhyatma and Karma. He introduces the words that impersonalists, when they develop pure transcendental knowledge, also can come to Krishna. And then in the last verse, he talks about Adi Yagna, Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, and Prayanakale. And Arjun is going to ask in the beginning of next chapter that what does these words mean? And then how do I remember you at the time of death? So 8th chapter, 8 questions. Any questions, reflections, realizations, corrections, complaints? Nobody? Okay, so we decided on the exam on June 30th at 3 p.m. India time, the Sunday. It's a Sunday, right? Yeah, Sunday. But next Sunday, I think we can start chapter